stretch across the skies. These hallelujah be multiplied. Your love is like radiant diamonds bursting inside us. We cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the sky. These hallelujah be multiplied. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the sky. These hallelujah be multiplied. These hallelujah be multiplied.
Okay, so our trip was to Honduras, and every morning and every night we would start and end our day with devotions. And so we'd hear from students and from our leaders, and we would also hear lots of testimonies. So throughout our trip, we got to hear about 10 testimonies, I believe. But one that stuck out to me the most was not one that we heard directly, but Mr. Benhausen was speaking one night, and he was sharing about how he sponsors this girl from Honduras, and she was kicked out of her home. And her testimony is that he is her father, and when she got older, she ended up getting pregnant and was kicked out of the orphanage. But Mr. Benhausen never shamed her and continued to love her, and it just like reminds me of the love that our Father has for us, our Heavenly Father. And then he was sharing that she was kind of like falling out of her faith a little bit and had been praying for her a lot. And that day, we had all of the alumni from the orphanages come to our hotel, and we got to like be with them. And earlier that morning, we also went to church. And we were at church for like 3 hours. It was a super long service, but after the church service, Al was saying God had us there for a reason. And the pastor from that church came to the hotel with us later that day with the alumni, and Mr. Benhausen's girl was there, and the pastor got to pray over her and just like talk with her, and it was like super transforming and like such a God moment. And then also at the end of our trip, we all went around in a circle and said words that kind of described the trip. And Pam was explaining how when we were preparing for the VBS, she was cutting up a plate and made like a greater than sign and was like playing with it, but her word ended up being greater than, because even though this trip looked different than all the others, we didn't get to go to all the orphanages that they usually get to go to, it was still greater than, and the Lord just provided in every way that we needed.
So one of the main things that we did on the fourth day was VBS, so just a Vacation Bible School for about 320 or almost 400 kids, 4 different locations. And we did not know about the Vacation Bible School until like 5 days before we were about to do it. So most of the leaders were stressing, and one thing that stuck out was, I think it was Mr. Benhausen or Al saying, be flexible, and be more flexible. And so that's what we took, and we went to 3 different locations. one location we had 60 kids in one little classroom, and it was really transforming to see these kids with so much joy and doing these small crafts. We're like, oh, this is adorable, but these kids were like having so much fun doing these things. And then we got to bring these big, like probably 50-pound, big, huge boxes of food that would last a month for a family. And we got to bring them around all four different locations, like 4 houses per groups, like 16 places. But for the 4 places that I went to, it like touched these kids, these families' hearts, and like you went to these places and you saw the kids earlier with all this joy and appreciating like just the little things, and you get to go into their life and you see that they get so much joy from the small things that in life that they do. And these terrible circumstances of one place was a concrete box that they're living in, 3 people to 1 bed. This other place was 5 people to 1 bed, little box. And then this other place, she opened her fridge and there's 2 eggs and a water bottle. That's all she had for her 3 kids and her. And so us being that hands and feet of God to bring the huge type of love, that's what they call them, to these kids and the families was a huge blessing for us and to them.
And then some other things that we did were we went to a school, we went to a garbage dump, and that was really impactful because these people were literally living in a landfill. They didn't have a home, anything. I mean, they built their homes out of trash and things like that. And then after that, we went to a school. And I think the most impactful part of the trip for me was I was playing with 2 little girls at the school, and I went over to give one of the little girls a high five, but she was too scared to give me a high five. And we played for maybe like 10, 15 more minutes. And as we were leaving, she ran over and came and gave me a hug. And I just want to relate that to like building a sense of community with these people. We didn't speak their language or anything like that, but for her to not be able to give me a high five when we first walked in, to her feeling comfortable enough to give me a hug, I don't know what to say. It was just a really cool experience, and I thank God for putting all of us on this trip.